In this video, we're going to be talking about Instagram stories and video ads. So there's been a lot of talk recently about video ads for Instagram stories, and we decided we're going to take matters into our own hands, jump into doing it for ourselves and for our client accounts. So I'm here to talk you through the kind of stuff that we've done and what you want to think about creatively when you're creating your Instagram stories video ads. Secondly, we're going to talk about some of the results that we've seen so far, and I'll talk through some of the numbers that we've gotten. And finally, if you are thinking about creating some Instagram stories yourself, either for organic or for ads, some of the apps that we use to be able to do stuff like that, and some of the apps that I use personally as well. All right, so here we go. First things first, Instagram stories. So the clip that you saw before, that was a collection of some of the ads that we've created for some of our clients. And you'll notice that, first of all, you really want to make sure that all your creative can fit into the portrait format, the format that we're looking at right now. Secondarily to that is try to keep it as upbeat and as punchy as possible, understanding the consumption of Instagram stories. It really is all about capturing that attention and getting people to swipe up. So really get into that frame of mind, right? And also, I guess, the more that you play around, and I'll get into this later in some of the app stuff, but the more that you play around with some of the tools that you've got, because of the templates that they give you, it really starts giving you a few more ideas about the creative and how and the different ways that you can flex your creative mind and execution as well. Really think about the brand that you've got or the brand that you're working with. Understand the audience and what really drives them, whether it's really epic looking type stuff, or whether it's a bit fast and flashy and fun, or whether it's something a bit more considered, and that can really educate the way that you drive your Instagram story ads as well. Also, think about creative ways that you can get your customers to swipe up. So whether that is in your ad itself in the bottom here, where you have little prompts to get people to swipe up, or get a bit more creative, and you can see, for example, Gary V's videos, especially on Instagram stories, as well as his stuff on Snapchat. You can see some really interesting ways that, just creative ways that his team gets people to swipe up. In Instagram stories, they've got cool little graphics, and then in Snapchat, he's actually got a small little like mini Gary V just putting his hands up to go swipe up, swipe up. So, which for some of you can get really annoying for the ones that don't like Gary Vaynerchuk, but for those that do, might find it a bit funny. So next thing, let's talk about results. I think some of you, especially the more technical marketers amongst you, will probably want to hear some of these numbers. All right, so I'm going to check out my stats on my monitor over here, and you guys can pay attention to the stats down below. All right, so first things first, we tried we got some data between the performance of our Instagram stories versus our more traditional ad formats, whether that is image carousel or single image or anything like that. And this is on mobile only data, by the way. So let's have a comparison real quick. So CPMs. Looks like that is $3.27 instead of $5.95. That's a 45% reduction. We like. Cost per click, 50 cents instead of 65 cents. 23% reduction. We like that. Click-through rate. This is an interesting one. So it's 0.66%, pretty low, instead of 0.91%, already also kind of low as well. So that deteriorated by 27%. More interesting stuff. Conversion rate 1.82% instead of 2.84%. I know you guys are wincing right now. Here's the interesting part. Return on ad spend 4.26 instead of 3.69. So that's a 15% increase. Again, this is Instagram stories versus more traditional ads. And then following that, we did another kind of breakdown as well. This is still kind of early days, but this is essentially our Instagram stories, like a carousel, if you will, of 3 images versus Instagram stories video ads, right? Same kind of breakdown again. CPMs, $3.20 instead of $4.04. CPC, 47 cents instead of $1.10. Hey, click-through rate, we've got 0.69% instead of 0.37%. Yikes. And CVR is 1.7, sorry, conversion rate is 1.73 instead of 3.75. Bit of a wince there. Here's the interesting part. Return on ad spend, 4.3 instead of 3.92. So really what we're seeing here is that even with the low click-through rate and the fairly high CPM, Instagram Stories video showing us, at least, and showing me, that video is actually pretty powerful at driving sales. So essentially, we're going to keep testing this, and we're going to, as much as possible, I'm going to come back and keep feeding you more data the more that we test this stuff out. But those are the results that we've gotten, and I'm going to move on really quickly to the final part because I'm trying to keep this video really, really short. Okay, so let's talk about the apps that we like using. So if you're on your nifty phone, then the two apps I like to use are Legend and Quick, which is an app by GoPro. So out of the two, you've got Legend, which essentially, if you're really big into quote cards or anything like that, and by the way, Legend's only in the square format, but you can really start using Legend to create some really interesting looking video quote cards, if you will. Obviously, with the high amount of text, it's not really all that usable or friendly, I guess, because of the high amount of text. But that's why I prefer using Quick. So in Quick, you can actually go in there and set formats, and whether you want it to be portrait, whether you want it to be square, whether you want it to be landscape. And off of that too, you can start putting some text in there. It is a mobile app, so it keeps everything templated, as much, not so much customizable, but it really gives you a good starting point. Also gives you some stock limited amount of music to choose with your stuff as well. So that's a pretty good one. I like using Quick, especially if it's something really quick and dirty on the phone. Now, if you are on the desktop, however, we started off by using Magisto. That was one of the in-browser video editors with a slideshow-y kind of feel to it. And then we started off with that and moved over to now using Shaker, which also happens to be a Facebook partner. So we are using Shaker right now to do most of our videos, and anything that we can't do within Shaker, for example, or we need something really customizable, because again, Shaker is meant to be coming in and helping you with social videos, so they want to make it as templated as possible, easy for the end user as much as possible. So it's not exactly for if you want super customized video with the fonts and the coloring and all that down to a T. But again, it's social video, so we want to move fast. So it's not necessarily the right thing for that anyway. That's why we love Shaker. But if in the event that we want to move away from that and we need that extra level of customization, then we jump into something a bit more powerful, like Adobe Premiere Pro or After Effects, if we want to get to that level. But for the most part, again, because we want to move quickly, we want to be able to use something like that. So Shaker is the one of choice. And there we have it. That is my really short video about Instagram stories. I'm gonna end here and ask you the question, amongst you, who is right now using Instagram stories? Are you one of them? Are you using Instagram story video ads? I would love to hear your experience so far. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment below. This is D signing out.